Very welcome to Overtime Místico. I have the honor to have Brenda Seldin on here today. She's interdimensional beings, and they're called the Travelers. And Brenda has been channeling them now for about 10 years?
Oh, more, 13.
Or 13 years. And I was really fascinated because they have manifested themselves to her through video and photography.
Yes.
They're able to capture the images of them. And I just want to share this because I felt a very, very strong pull as soon as you told me about this particular interdimensional set of beings. I really gravitated to it. So I am ready to just hear all about it. What was your experience? And I was reading a little bit that you worked at a sanctuary, so you were able to talk to animals.
In New York City in the 90s.
Imagine, wow. So you're a pioneer in that field.
Well, just in being able to have wildlife indoors in a city where, you have to rent it, if you have money to buy it. So yeah, it was a miracle out of time. I always say Spirit graced me with the ability to work with wildlife in a rented New York City apartment. So.
Holy moly. No, and I lived on the Upper West Side. I know all about New York. And so that I take my hat off to you because I can only imagine. So that's so special. So thank you for being a communicator for animals. The animals are a very special beings that are on this planet. I mean, I love all animals, but I've had a lot of cats and dogs, and it was just such a blessing that you were able to channel Macchiato. He's a little rescue. He's a new member to my family. And so Brenda was able to communicate some things. But anyway, let's go into the Travelers. I am fascinated. So let's take it all from the beginning. Let's just talk a little about for people that are not familiar with interdimensional beings, let's just take it from the top. 101 for those that are not too familiar, and just feel free to just let us know. Oh, and then she has a treat. She has a message for us at the end about what the Travelers want to share with us.
So thank you for having me here. I'm really delighted to be here with you. So everything I speak about is from my experience. It's not that I don't read or listen to other people's experience, but primarily I like to talk about my own because I know that what I'm talking about is what I experienced, is my truth that I can share unequivocally without any doubt. So the Travelers are beings from another dimension. By dimension, it means not from our universe, from a universe that they had to travel through. And I'm just using scientific words for us to imagine. I don't come from that point of view, but do you want to call it a wormhole? Like they were able to travel from their dimension to ours. And they are beings who have transcended physical form over a long period of time and now exist solely as beings of energy. And when I photograph them or video them, they come through. And so what I get mostly in the videos are a lot of the themes are beams of light. They're just general shaped light forms. And interestingly enough, for the Travelers, they've said to me that the dimension that they come from, the frequency and the vibrational speed of it is so high, so fast, that our dimension, the material dimension, is too dense, too heavy, so that it's difficult for them to physically come here. So what they've done is they create holographic copies of their consciousness that they send through here, and they can experience everything here through the copy of their consciousness that they are connected to. And they call that consciousness containers.
Ooh, how interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I'm not going to get the exact details because I just remembered this, but the scientist Michio Kaku, he's an astrophysicist, I believe. He once mentioned that if we're going to travel, he didn't have the word consciousness container, but he said if we're going to travel vast distances throughout the universe, he expressed a similar theory about it being somehow, I guess, I don't know if through computers or in what way AI, but just that a copy of our consciousness, that it wouldn't be us physically traveling, it would be
Right.
some form of our consciousness. So when I first had consciousness containers and I read his article, I was like, wow, that
I
was really
love that.
interesting. Yeah, and
Entanglement, now there's the talk, and they're starting to see that you could be at two places simultaneously. And then another interesting thing that you were just referring to, if I could just share, is that this is a hologram. That's awesome. But I know that there's a lot of interdimensional beings too that I have to go through a preparation to, if they wanted to physically kind of blend in with us. But the fact that yours are just holographic, it just makes it a lot easier, and they don't have to go through that whole preparation of actually morphing themselves into this 3D. You said this is a very dense environment. For us, it's dense. Imagine for high consciousness beings have to morph themselves into this space, especially right now. It's so heavy for us, right? The energies on the planet are quite interesting.
Well, they called it the equivalent of humans having to go down and live in the Mariana Trenches, which is the deepest, darkest places on Earth.
Oh, so, I know.
That's what they call it. So, yes.
But then I will put some pictures up for all of the guests who are going to watch this on YouTube. Obviously, when you're streaming on the platform, I'm not quite able because I'm under contract with a promotion company, so I can't do videos, but you will see the audio. But I will put the link in the audio format, and you can go to YouTube. But she has over 7,000, I think, images that you've captured over the last 13 years. And it's so interesting to me because they always like to say, it's like, oh, you can identify. It's not like an orb. You're like, oh, is that a reflection of the camera's flash?
No, they're very, very, and that's just, so for me, they first led me to go outside my property, not where I live now, my former home, and start to take pictures and take videos. And that was in 2017 in March. And that's when it began. And it's been continuous ever since. The interesting thing is, and I just have to make a comment because I think words are really important and we don't realize how much we've been indoctrinated by our cultures. And especially, as Latinas, I consider myself Hispanic. My family is Argentinian. That we use the word capture, and that's a very colonialist term. I like to say document. And I like to say, because we don't capture them or anything. Right. You know what I mean? I think words are really important. Their vibration, there's subconscious meaning.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, and the thing is that they're so fast. I literally have videos where one of their orbs, which like to go in their ships, will just pop in and out so fast that it's not even find that 1 second where they appear. It's the part of that 1 second where they appear and disappear. They just slow down because they've told me, Brenda, we want you to share us with the world. We want to be seen because they specifically have come here to help us evolve. Their purpose. So actually, we have a lot in common with them, that they were a warfaring people. They almost committed genocide on themselves. The equivalent of, I don't know, is it tens of millions, hundreds of millions? I know they're very ancient. And they've said that we're both on the same path, except they're ahead of us. And if they could do it, then they believe in us that we can do it. So we can overcome, this part of our nature where we, commit warfare upon each other, upon the planet, upon our brothers and sisters, all the other beings that live with us on Earth. And it's their home too. We don't ask them, is it okay if we drop a bomb here? We just do it, right?
I know. Crazy. We've had great strides, and I know we're all awakening, especially you and I are contemporary. I started metaphysical stuff in the 80s. Things would be a little bit more evolved in our consciousness where we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. And you refer to 2026, and there's wars in Ukraine, and we're invading, and now, in Iran, and it's just like, come on, man. I was just so disappointed in where we're at. But I know that it's part of what we've chose as beings that we've decided to reincarnate. And I guess right now, like you and I who are channelers, we work in different modalities, and we can bring forward this knowledge to maybe awaken that one person that is listening to this or scrolling on YouTube and found our videos and just finds these topics interesting. It's waking up to that consciousness so that we can all elevate our energy and maybe split the shift so it's not where we're all functioning from fear.
Exactly. Or at the very least, we're planting the seeds for sometime later in their lifetimes or a next life. But at some point, that seed's going to sprout. And I've taken...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So your first initial encounter with from the information, you were ready to spiritual modality. So it wasn't as though you didn't know anything about, or you weren't connected into that dimension, let's call it that. And then all of a sudden, well, how was that initial, hey, we're here and we want to communicate with you?
It was in October of 2013. I was doing a shamanic journey, connecting with the full moon, the energies of the full moon. And all of a sudden, a voice just interrupted me, just came into me. And they said, we're the travelers. We've come to help humanity. We know that you can understand us. You can hear us. You can understand us. And by the way, this is a synopsis. And we're here to help humanity evolve. And we've come here. So they come to civilizations where the beings there are on the verge of becoming spacefaring beings or people in our case. Says, we're just starting to leave the planet. We're getting at where else can we go? And they said our path is to go out into the stars, explore and create other home worlds, and they want to help us with that. Now, the other thing is they told me that we're at a tipping point. We're being watched by many other civilizations in the universe. And we have to get our act together because it's kind of not in my neighborhood. No, if we don't get it together, the rest of the universe doesn't want our warfare, our greed, our pollution, our hate, all those aspects of ourselves. So they kind of said to me, there's never said exactly, and I never asked, is there a timeline for this? But we've got to get our act together, especially if we're going to start to move, outward into the universe.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that there's like a shift in, the way that they've shown me, it's like there's a shift, and then there's like the new energy evolving. That's everybody's calling it the new earth. So I think as long as, like you said, what you can make a difference individually. And I think that that's what all these interdimensional beings is what they want to share. It all starts with you. Don't wait for us to do it. It has to be all of you on the planet inhabiting. Too, that brings me back that there's so many souls that incarnate onto the planet, right? Have you heard that there's a waiting list for people to come in? And there's a lot of interest for Earth to evolve, for Gaia to be part of that shift. At the beginning, were you a little scared, or did you automatically know that this was positive energy and that there was nothing to be worried or scared about? Or
I was before that, so I've been following the shamanic path since the 90s. I had become an animal communicator, work with animals. And for me, animals are like angels. They have very pure souls. And then I worked in the Akashic records. But once they came in, so for me, extraterrestrials are like people. It's not like angels, automatically can trust them, or like the spirit of a tree, that calls to you. So no, at first, I didn't know, did I want to necessarily, channel their messages? What would it be? Could I trust them? What was their real purpose? Were they telling me one thing and then something else? So at first I was really hesitant. And I know this is going to sound weird, but as soon as I started to have experiences with the ETs, I had that old, people are going to think I'm weird, even though I've done so many things that are weird. But somehow this was so long where I thought, oh my God, people are going to think I'm weird.
Oh, I get that. Wow. I still, people that don't know that I am a channeler medium and work with the Akashic records, it's funny. I'm like, oh God, I hope they don't find me on the internet. But no, I am what I am, and I know we have nothing to be concerned or worried about. But I did that feeling as well, especially with the dragon, channeling dragon. I was like, oh my God, people are gonna not even. I could just see people from when I was pure designer and that type of corporate vibe But I didn't know that she channeled. Now, if it's all done out of pure energy, I think that that's the most important thing. I feel honored that the travelers are here on Mystic Portal, or in Spanish, Portal Místico, and we do have the YouTube channel. So when we first, you said something, are they from this galaxy?
No, they're from another dimension, another galaxy in another dimension. And through shamanic journeying, they were able to lead me to, which they really don't go to very much, their home world. And I was led into this universe that seemed really vast and kind of empty. You know how in our galaxy we have all our planets, and you know, when you see a map of the planets, they kind of seem, even though they're really far, kind of close. But I got a sense that the universe they're from was being shown like kind of traveling to their planet, and I felt this vast emptiness, like there was very little there. So that was interesting. But so they live in what they call pods, which are groups. And the pods can number from 9 into the thousands. So the pod that came here, there are 27 of them. And so what they do is they speak as one, but it's not one mind, many of them, and just one mind. It's not like that. But they've learned to come together and do what's best for everybody, you know, including whoever they're trying to help. The ones that have come here, so they travel to different civilizations, helping them to evolve and supporting them as they start to leave their planets and to explore. That's what they've taken on as their mission, as their civilization's mission. Went from total warfare to totally supporting and helping. And apart from the messages that they sent to me to share, I also channel what they call their healing technologies. Because even though, as you're going to see the photographs, the videos, they're light forms, they're still technologies. Like I said, it's not like angels where it's just the energies. So, and what the healing does, apart from aligning the energy bodies and helping with whatever physically or mentally ails you, is to awaken dormant gifts in your DNA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a big one right now. Shifting our DNA just to get upgrades. So when you talk to them, are they always available, or is it just whenever they feel that they want to come in, or do you have to be in meditation, or do they just pop in and say, hey, we'd like to communicate, or do you have a special
they're always around me. I can speak to them at any time. And they're just, you know, it was interesting when they came when they came in 2013 and they asked me to communicate for them. I wasn't sure at first, and I was just hedging, and I was asking them a lot of questions, but it was a very intense time. Like, it was a period of time where I had many, what we used to call UFOs and now we call UAPs, experiences like many of them. Like, I had one experience where I lived in my neighborhood, it was kind of like this hill. And when I was walking my dogs one day to the top of the hill, it was at night, I saw what looked like a comet without a tail, the size of a small car, just shooting, not just across the sky, but just above the level of the rooftops. And wow. I was really shocked, and the direction it was going, I knew the neighborhood there, I knew people that lived there. And I was really waiting for it to hit and explode, and I was going to run and call 911. I thought, oh my gosh. And when it went over the rooftops and it went beyond the line of the horizon, I didn't see it anymore. And I kept waiting. So I knew it wasn't a comet, but it was so early in my experience with them, because at first it was just telepathic, that I didn't quite know what to make of it. So it just was many experiences in many different forms like that. And I think it was their way of just pushing forward.
Seeing, what worked too for you, right? Because I'm sure they were like, well, how is she going to receive this information? And let's try different ways of getting her attention. I know that spirit, when they want to communicate, sometimes they'll send things, and then as we both are channelers, the messages come in very different from when you're channeling, you're doing the Akashic, or I'm also a medium. And I was actually talking the other day, and I was like, when I do a mediumship reading, it's really different from talking to an ET or even doing the channeling or even going into the Akashic records. There's slight differences, but the energy's completely different. So that's really interesting. And have they ever invited you to one of their pods, or have you ever had the capability of actually, in meditation, maybe traveling to them versus them coming to you?
Well, as you know, physically, they can't be here. So physically, I can't be there.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're too dense. But
but like picture in your head or
when I do, so sometimes I do this workshop that I call time jumping for beginners, and I help people learn how to work with timelines. So whenever we go into the future or we go beyond time and space, and that kind of, I don't know if it's exactly that they don't have any time or space because they can travel, instantly. But then that's where I join them. And it's not so much what I see, it's what I feel. So the sensations in my body and the sensations of joining them. So the fact that they're a pod, they're always interconnected. And I've had times, especially, so again, when I started to document them was a few months, like 3-4 months before my husband passed away. And then it got very intense with, they were around me a lot, and they were there definitely to accompany me. And so I couldn't sleep at night, so I would go out and I would ask them to show themselves, and they would. And they have what I call, so sometimes I would see really large ships up in the sky. But that was a period of time before I decided, okay, I'm going to start to work with you. There were a few summers that was intense UAP activity. And then they started to show me what I call their light ships that I've sent you a video of. And the interesting thing is how it appears on images or videos is very different than what I can see physically. So they're light ships. They're very tiny. They're the size, let's just say, of your fingernail, the fingernail of your pinky, a little smaller than that. But I can see it precisely. And they're not on a beam of light. They're always on, it looks like a glass spider thread that's always at a 15-degree angle, and it's perfect.
Oh, spider thread. I like that.
Yeah, but it looks like glass. I mean, and it's iridescent. And there's a mineral, and it's called bismuth. And it looks like, the pyramids in Mesoamerica, that like the step pyramids. Yeah. So there's a mineral that's iridescent that has that kind of shape, and not exactly like that, but the light ship that I see that's really tiny looks like that. And it's really tiny, and it'll come very close to me. And I've had some videos where they just kind of touch my hand, like almost like a sewing machine, up and down, and I could feel the sensation on them. So they can be very playful. So some things are right there, right in front of me, and others.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the other thing I was going to say really quick is they're not humanoid at all. They told me the closest description of them is like a plant-animal hybrid. And I have some photographs where I think this is what they might look like, because it'll appear something. And they said they haven't shown themselves to me at the beginning because they don't want to scare me.
Yeah, I get it. I've seen some beings. There's some beings out there, starseed beings, that are a little intimidating to us. We have our judgmental 3D mind, and a lot of the messages I get, we're here, we're just, peace and love. We just physically don't look like you. Some look like insects. There's others that look like birds. You've got the Lyrians, you've got the Arcturians, the Pleiadian, the Venetians. You've got Bashar. Which now that's something that Bashar, he's come out. He's a little blue being. So everybody's different. The dragons too, right? I mean, dragon. I always say Hollywood has just totally corrupted the whole vibe with the dragons. It's just so stupid. They're nothing like they're portrayed on television. So don't. So as far as, do you have one? I mean, I know it's a collective, right? It's a collective consciousness. But do you have a name for one, or do you know is one?
No.
No, this is them. Okay.
And I hear them as one voice. And what they tell me is that, so for instance, let's just say there was we created a pod of channelers and you and I were in it. And there was something for us to do for somebody. Well, whoever within our pod was best suited to help in that situation would be doing it. So that's how it will work. Yes.
I love that. Well, I'm all about this is why I did this podcast, and it's just spreading the light, spreading different realities so that people like you and I that are, or you're curious, or you're starting out and you're mystified by ETs or interdimensional beings. I know they don't like being called alien. I know that Stephen Greer, he chants.
Yes, I've heard, yes.
He says ETs like a more polite way to refer to them. And I just think it's great that even though there's a lot of chaos in the world, we are, as a species, starting to understand that we're not alone. And many of us are waking up, or at least are open to the idea of, hey, there might be life outside. Which is kind of, if you think about it, what do you think? We're the only ones? Come on now.
Yeah.
No, we're not. So as far as I'm going to post some of the images, but can you share maybe some of the messages, or what is a theme that keeps coming up, do you think, in your 13 years of channeling them? Or is there something that you want to share with us, your evolution as their spokesperson? Because I think you're like their spokesperson here on Earth.
I mean, I don't know that I'm necessarily the only one. I wouldn't believe so. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that, you know how you said there are so many beings that want to be reborn on this planet? So they've told me that I'm one of them, that I originally came with them, that I've been reincarnating for over 20,000 years, waiting for the moment when humanity would be ready so that they could understand, or we could understand, because I consider myself a traveler, we could understand how to calibrate, how to best help humanity. So, and they said that I chose this planet as our next project. And I'm like, oh boy, that I choose hard.
Yeah, my God, you really did. When you're dealing with human, get grief.
Yeah. But they always tell me, it's interesting. They said that, so they call themselves master manipulators of energy, as in manually manipulate, not trick, that term. And one of the things they can do, and they're always showing me that we can do, is like, I'll get an image of like, there's, this smoky, white smoky. And I had a cat that was very sick. I couldn't save her, but they showed me that I could rebuild her, like missing an arm. We can just create, we can manipulate things only if there's the energy to align to it. So for instance, let's just say our car is about to break down and we need to reach a certain place, which has happened to me. And I ask for their help. And then so if the energy already exists, the energy of potential for my car to make it there, then it will. Then it can be aligned and we can make it happen. We can shift it. But if that energy can't be aligned, doesn't exist in some potential way, then that's where they can't help you to shift it. But if the potential is there, it can be, changed no matter what it is.
For intention. I think humans underestimate ourselves. And I'm actually in the middle of writing a book about, I haven't put it out there yet. Nobody knows, but it has to be, it kind of in that lines where you can pull from different parts of the Akash and co-create an alternate reality. So I'd be really interesting in talking a little bit more about, I guess with the term be quantum jumping, is that what you teach?
I can teach that. I think everything is simpler than we think. I think really the basis of anything is just intention and trust. Oh, and that's what I teach, is for people to relax, to set their intentions, and then to trust it. But I think that
said earlier about the timelines. I mean, maybe I used the wrong word. Timelines. Talk to me about how you was with timelines, because that really interests me, and I think a lot of my listeners would love for you to just a little bit expand on that a little bit.
Sure. What I do is so when we do a timeline workshop, I help people travel to a past life, to a parallel life on another Earth, to the future, or a place outside of space and time. And depending where we go, so I'll work with certain guides in the Akashic records, and I'll take them on a shamanic journey. And anything having to do with going to the future, the travelers take over, and I'll lead people onto we'll create a pod of our group, of myself and the students, and the travelers will lead us into the future, to a future timeline, or to the place where they come from. And people will get a training experience of the energies of coming together with the traveler.
Sign me up. So if somebody is dealing with something, for example, the lack mentality or fear mentality, could they potentially come to you to work with the travelers to break patterns per se, or to maybe connect with that higher version of themselves for them to get whatever messages they need to know of why they are creating that in this present timeline?
Well, so you know how you have a lot of tools in your toolbox? Sometimes you work with your mediumship gifts, sometimes with the Akashic records. So you have a lot of tools, and depending what somebody comes to me for, I'll use one or more. So usually to understand what is the root spiritual cause of something, I'll work with the Akashic records. And then if healing is necessary, it depends what type of healing. It might be with the travelers, or it might be with shamanic healing.
Awesome. Talk to us a little bit about your shamanic, your shamanic teachings or your expertise in that. For somebody that has heard of the word shamanic, but in your vocabulary, share that with us.
So basically, it's working with the universe at large, spirit to spirit, instead of understanding the world with our physical senses or with our mind. We understand it and we communicate and interact with it with our hearts and with our spirits. And because we're communicating and traveling through the spirit part of the universe, we actually have access to much more of it than we would if we had to walk there or if we had to physically talk or understand it through a book. And so all of a sudden, the whole universe is open to us. And our guides that are here for our best and highest good, our animal spirit protectors, have many, many guides. They come to us sometimes for our whole lives, sometimes for a part of our life, sometimes in a certain situation, a certain guide can help you. And it can be any type of guide. It could be an animal spirit, a plant spirit, an angel, an ascended master, an ancestor, any god or goddess from any tradition. It just, whoever is meant to help you will come in. So I think the most important thing is for us to be open and to be willing to communicate. I always tell people, if you ask spirit for help, when you receive it, you have to follow through. The more you follow through with the guidance you've been given, the deeper the relationship you form with spirit. And that's how you build a very deep relationship with spirit. And I've had many incredible, blessed experiences. So for instance, one of my main animal spirit helpers is lion. And I used to have a large piece of property, 82 acres, and it was beautiful, woods and a pond that was the size of a lake and wetlands and creeks. It was beautiful. And one day I'm walking on it, and about 50 feet, and I'm by myself, about 50 feet in front of me, there was a mountain lion. And it was just sitting up there. And I'm just thinking, I'm going to die. It was huge, just sitting up. It was huge. And I know somebody afterwards asked me, did you try to communicate with it? And I said, I was trying not to pee in my pants.
Yeah.
And then a minute or two later, it's interesting, it never quite looked at me. It had its head cocked just to the side. I mean, I know the lion knew I was there. About 2 minutes later, it just kind of got up and pulled away. And like less than 2 years later, Lion came to me as a spirit helper and never left my side. And
Wow.
so when you just engage in the spirit world and really just you're there with your heart, and you're there not just to receive, but to give. You know, like I go outside, I'll look at a tree, I'll smile, and I'll say, I love you, how are you? Just go out and talk, and you're already exchanging energies of love. You know, you're already just focusing. And so the more you build this relationship, the more incredible blessings and experiences come your way. And you feel very connected to the world as a whole. And so it's much less. Remember COVID, I was by myself. Every time I went outside and was in nature, I just felt fully accompanied. I never felt that sorrow, that aloneness.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I love that. As far as the whole, everything around us is listening. And I think more and more, we can even hear plants or some devices that you can connect to mushrooms and the whole mycelium network underneath the earth. And I think we're just starting to, there's many pioneers who have been doing research for 30 and 40 years, but I think mainstream is starting to realize that, hey, there is a strength and unity when you connect to nature, when you respect, when you love, when you bless, when you honor, when you're present, when you're realizing that, let me unplug from the screens, let me go out for a walk. Maybe you've had a really bad day, or, had a traumatic experience. Like you recently had by passing, your husband passed it. I'm really sorry. My condolences. I know that those are the times when you need the ethereal to come in and kind of lift you up. So it's important to understand, we're all one. And so I always bless my food, and I love you, I love you, I love you. And I try to, tell myself when I, that self chatter, which I have, I'm guilty of speaking negatively about myself. And then the more I read about how we're water and, what messages am I sending? So I think that's why having the tools and the connection to these beings, interdimensional beings like the travelers, is they can come in and help you or guide you, or maybe if you're open to receiving messages as an intuitive, right? You don't have to do this for a living to connect to the travelers, right? If you're open, they will come, correct?
Yeah. So what I was going to say, two things. One is that even when I do individual healings for people, they don't necessarily give messages, hardly ever. They speak to me regularly, but I notice not with others that their messages are more for the whole, for the group. And the other thing is, once you've gotten a healing with them once, you can call on them anytime. You don't have to do it through me.
So for instance, if I wanted to connect now, because I've been fascinated by them since you first mentioned them. I don't know why. I'm just really gravitating, and I've heard, been there, done that for 35 years in the spiritual modality. But for some reason, I'm really intrigued by the travelers. Like, I want to know more. So for somebody like me, I'm open, sure. I'm a trained intuitive now, but so like if I wanted to call upon, you just introduce yourself. So like walk me through what that would look like.
So I used to do this where I'm hoping to start it again, because one of the things I want to share is, even if you channel, even if they're there ready to give you messages, at least this happens to me as a human being, and especially happened after my husband's passing. And it was 9 years ago, but my life was a very jumbled mess because of that and other things that came together, and then COVID and whatnot. But sometimes, like, I wasn't always in a frame of mind to just channel or to just sit there. So sometimes, like, long periods, like, they always spoke to me. I just didn't always, write everything. But what I used to do, which I'm going to start up again, is offer a free group healing every month. And so if you come to one of those, or if you do a healing with me, and I'd be glad to offer it as a gift to you, then once you've done it once, that's it. You can call them anytime. And I've had clients do it, just asking them for help.
I'd love to. And, I know that we're going to get into a message they had, but I'd love to have you on here again. This is what this
thank you.
channel is about. It's to uplift and to let people know that there are other things. And everybody is gravitating to different things. So I'm really interested in knowing more about the travelers. So I'm really honored that you took the time today to be here with us. And for all the listeners, please subscribe, share. That's how we keep Mystic Portal or Portal Místico going. This is a bilingual podcast, and I have decided to do the videos now, which I didn't do. It was one of those things where I was like, man, I don't want to be a camera. No thanks. I'll just do audio. But I've been like, please do videos. So here I am. But you know, Brenda and I are just being of service to you guys. And that's what gives us joy, right? Just knowing that one person was touched, one person's curiosity was awakened, or you might want to share this audio or video with somebody, and that's how it keeps everything flowing. So thank you to all my subscribers. I wouldn't, you mentioned the word UAP. So if, just for the listeners, that they don't call them UFO, but it's an unidentified
aerial phenomena.
Oh no, I was trying to figure that out. Okay.
Yeah. UFO, I guess it's considered, not as exact, but for me, it's not unidentified. It's the travelers. So, but.
Right. I love that. And there was a show on TV called The Travelers. I saw that kind of had, did you see it?
No. Oh, you mean The Travelers where they came from different timelines, like that one?
Yeah, it was on Netflix or something, or
I like that show. I like that.
Yeah, that
kind
was
of
very
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
I always think, they're here to help humanity. Okay, so what message do they want to share with us today?
So this is it's interesting. The other day, because I'm trying to put their messages together to put it together to start to share, and this one is from September 18th, 2025, and they say. The tipping point describes the moment that the inhabitants of a planet perceive the universe outside of them, not as gods or as part of their creation stories, but as universal life outside of themselves. You humans are just beginning to awaken. You fear the unknown, believing it to be a reflection of yourselves, and you prepare to meet us with weapons. We have moved beyond eternal warfare and its consequences. The majority of life forms that we know of have too moved on from the practice of warfare. We find interesting your dichotomy of peace and violence. You exhibit both natures in your population. We wait for you to tire yourselves out and to relinquish your violent natures. In time you shall, and we are here to support you on this path.
Oh, brothers. I love it. Or I guess they're androgynous, right? They're not female or male, but yes.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Love it. Well, yes, put on your language. For blessed beings, for people to follow you. I am gonna include some images as when I start editing the video. I'll put some of the images from the 8,000, and if I could put a link to one of your videos. Do you have your video up on YouTube? If someone
I have to see. No, on YouTube I don't have that much because I have to grow that channel. But I'll send you a video right now.
And not posted, and I might be able to include it in this video.
Yeah,
I'm a solo shop, so sometimes it takes me a little bit to edit, and I'm always trying.
No, I'm grateful. Whatever. Yeah, and I think I forgot. I'm going to give you my YouTube, IG, and Facebook channels for the travelers. I didn't do that.
Yeah. So whenever Cosmic Sister, follow my.
Thank you for this. I really enjoyed it.
I definitely want to have you back. I think.
Oh, thank you so much.
I do these weekly, bi-weekly. It just depends on how things are flowing. But I'd love to have you back on, and I'd love to dive deep a little bit more into their consciousness and how we can learn more, and then maybe give some pointers on how to navigate, because I think it's a lot easier to just think easy, but when you're reincarnated in this physical 3D body, let me tell you, it's a lot easier than said. But once you have to start practicing and elevating consciousness, there has to be tools so that we can do it, because sometimes our mind take over or we're tired. I mean, my goodness, who hasn't been exhausted the last few months? I mean, everybody I know, like, I'm dragging.
with this guy, it's every 2 minutes something is happening. A nuclear war, all of a sudden, to this, to that, to this. It's like whiplash.
I love that whiplash. And for all those who have a pet, or you have questions about your pet, remember she is an animal communicator. I had a really informative session with Macchiato, which when we stop here, I'll tell you how he's doing. But she really helped me to understand how I could better assist this animal, especially when we worry too much about our pets. I know that us humans, I obsess about my animal. Is he going to be okay? Is there anything else I could do? But talking to an animal communicator just will open you up to an infinite amount of knowledge, and that you probably didn't even know your pet was actually okay and you're fussing way too much. I don't know if you can agree with that statement. Sometimes we overdo it. And she also needs the Akashic Records. You work within the Akashic Records. Can also talk about that. So thank you so much. And I want to thank the travelers too. I will be saying hello to them later when I'm in meditation.
Whenever we'll set it up.
Now, if somebody like me wanted to capture them on video, is that something, or is that just special to you?
No, if you want to document them, what I tell people, go outside at night, invite them in, and keep taking pictures or video. And eventually, something should start to show up.
All right.
I don't know with everybody all the time, but, for the people.
I get it. Curious.
Wow.
I'm a curious one, so I love to dabble in all of that.
And invite them in, and if you feel comfortable, and they always ask for permission before healing. They always say we don't do anything without a person's permission, which I liked, of your land, the vibration of yourself, your animals, just tighten. Yeah. And there's also like a protective, like I had a tornado go through my street.
No.
Yes, I wasn't there. I was working somewhere else, but all around me there was, and I live next to a lot with like 1 million scraggly trees that are not full grown, but they're not that small that they should have all come down.
Right.
I mean, and my house, the fence, a couple of slats were pulled up.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So with the healing, you can call them for healing, protection, insight, intuitive downloads. Maybe you come in our dreams. Would that be something too? Before we go, have you ever had a dream with them?
There was a period of time. So the way they came through to our dimension is they came through the point of the moon, the dark side of the moon. That's where they initially were when they first came to our dimension. So to get closer, they built a portal on the land where I used to live. And then they were bringing in the healing energies to anchor. So there was a period of time where there was like super activity. Every single night I could take 20, 30, 40. I mean, if I was up all night, I'd be taking nonstop.
Oh my God.
It was very intense.
Sure,
but I would, what, have you ever experienced astral travel where you wake up, you're super conscious, but it's the dream time or another space, another dimension. And I would wake up and I would look up and the ceiling would be gone. It would be all the stars, or I would see the bottom of a ship that looked like the bottom of it looked like one of those warship carriers that carry the airplanes. You know how they're really long and wide, and it would look like that from the bottom. That's the sense I would get. Or I would wake up and the moonlight streaming through would be orange throughout the room. It wouldn't be, white, and I knew this isn't. So yeah. We'll have to save this for the next one, but I had a very interesting experience where I woke up in the astral realm, and the spirit, after, it wasn't that long since my husband was there and the travelers were there, but they were there in another form, and it's a little bit of a longer story. So if it's okay with you, can we leave with the teaser clip?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. So I want to invite you back. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself.
I know. I know sometimes I have to say, I'm so happy this was meant to be, because let me just tell you, with Mercury retrograde, the last 3 interviews, I had to reschedule and cancel. And then we had to do it on the phones because we couldn't do it. And today it just flowed. And I was like, okay, it's finally guided. So thank you so much, guys. All right,
Thank you.
put all the links down below.
Thank you.